Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I'm here to talk to you about a game called Draconis Invasion. Draconis Invasion is a deck building game. It's a deck building game about each person trying to be the best defender of the world. They have monsters that are cruising in and attacking the area, and you are recruiting defenders and recruiting different powers and actions as far as your way to combat that. And whoever ends up being the most glorious defender of the realm will win the game. So if you played a deck builder before, you're probably going to have a pretty good idea of how to play this game, but don't let that fool you. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with this one that I found to be highly enjoyable. So let me show you how to play Draconis Invasion, then we'll come back here and I'll tell you more about why I've been digging playing this one. Alright, cool. Alright, I do apologize for this giant sweeping thing of cards that you see in front of you. Draconis Invasion does have a lot of cards going on with it, and I'm not even showing you all the cards actually, because you don't use all the cards each time you play. There are several more different types of cards that are in this deck here, and this is just the little small deck or introductory game that they sent me. My understanding is that the final game is going to be bigger or have more options or whatever, but this is one of the more basic scenarios as far as my options that I had available. As far as these two rows of cards go, those are the action and the defender decks that are defender cards that you'll be using to add to your deck as you play the game. So as I said, Draconis Invasion is all about killing creatures that are, well, invading, and the invaders are down here. Now I'm going to kind of show you and talk to you about each one of these little rows and kind of explain what each one of these cards does, and along the way I'll kind of teach you how the game is played. If you've played a deck building game before, a lot of this is going to be very familiar to you, so we'll just kind of go with that route. But I mean, if you've never played a deck building game before, then don't worry about it. I'll explain to you how this works. So to begin the game, there are these things over here that are called campaign cards. Campaign cards are ways to earn extra points at the end of the game, depending on the creatures that you kill. Each person will be dealt 4 campaign cards, and of those 4, they will pick 2 of the cards. Notice none of the other cards, as far as the monster cards, will be revealed at this point, so you're kind of flying a little bit blind, because with these cards you're picking your goal. So like 2 skeletal soldiers and you'll get 4 extra points for killing 2. 1 necromancer, get 2 points, and 2 succubus, 4 points, 1 wyvern, 2 points. Pretty straightforward. So you pick 2 of these and you put them face down in front of you, and then the other 2 they get shuffled back into that deck. And then, so everybody, and those are kept secret, and nobody knows exactly what you're going for. Now, you can get more of these as the game is played, and if people want to remember, they can try to remember which ones you've taken. But, this is a very important way to get extra points, because one of the ways the game ends is after somebody has killed 6 creatures. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is actually kind of tough to kill these guys off. But I'll get more on that in just a little bit. So, getting the extra points from here is usually, what I've discovered, to be the difference between winning and losing. So keep that in mind. So up at the top here, we just have these 3 things of the gold cards. You start with the gold times 10 cards in your basic deck. And one of these cards here, notice it doesn't cost anything to buy these. You can buy one of these anytime you want when you do a buy action, because they don't cost anything to buy. However, that would gum up your hand a little bit if you took up a bunch of those gold times 10. Gold is obviously going to be used to purchase cards. Up in the top left of these cards, you can see there are costs. You have to have that much gold in your hand, reveal it, to be able to buy that particular card. But they also need to be, you have to have that gold to actually attack with these defenders. And take a look at this shaman. He does 10 damage, and look, he has 70 gold required to be able to actually play him. So you actually have to have that gold as well, not just to buy, but also be able to play the monster or the defender that you have. Next to that, you see this cool little blue skull. These are the despair cards. This is a card that looks exactly the same as the rest of your cards on the back. This is cards that you're going to, when something negative happens, you have to take those into your hand, and then once again that gums up your deck, because those cards can't be used for anything. I'll explain how you get those into your hand here in just a moment. So over here we have, this is the event deck, and you notice there's this little blue die on there. It's on a 1 right now. When this increases to 6, that will cause an event to happen. There are 3 event cards per player. In this case, this is like a 3-player game, so there's 9 event cards in there. That is also the way the game can end. If you get through all of the event cards, then the game ends at that point. The way this die goes up to 6, and in the game it'll be a little skull, it won't be a 6. The way it gets up to 6 is on your turn, if you have despair cards in your hand, for every despair card you have, you raise that die by 1. And so then also, if you force somebody else to discard cards and they discard despair cards on their turn, that also increases the die. So you can't, like, discard that early so on your turn you don't reveal them. That also causes you to reveal those and increase that die. So that's another reason why the despair cards are bad, because the event cards are never anything good. They'll either affect whoever is in the lead, which is like, here's one that says the leading player or players discard 3 cards, and you determine the lead by the number of creatures that you've killed, the invaders you've killed. Here's an event that says the leading players gain the despair card. That's one of those over there. And then, here's the chaos event that causes everybody to discard 2 cards, and then you reshuffle and reveal new invaders down here. So, it's never a good thing, as far as when those events come over. So the next card are the action cards. They're just exactly what you think. When you start off the game, you do not have any action cards. You just have these Imperial Guard cards and gold cards. That's it. But you purchase actions. Actions can be something as simple as this Rush to Battle card. If you've played Dominion, this will look pretty familiar to you. +1 card, +1 action, +10 gold. It's the Jack of all trades card, costs 60 gold, but when you have this, you put it down, you get to draw a card out of your deck, you get to take an extra action, you get +10 gold if you decide you're going to buy or attack. They could be cards actually that have like more to them, like this Betrayal card. On another player's turn, if you play this, it's worth -10 to their total attack if they decide to attack. But also on your turn, you can play it for +2 actions or +1 buy. A fun little card that allows you to mess with other people, so that's always nice. The one below that, once again, is your defenders. These are the people you're going to be purchasing that are going to have like your strength. You start off with a bunch of these guys, really basic Imperial Guards. They have 5 damage and they cost no gold whatsoever. You can always attack with them because you probably, if you have 0 gold, you can attack with them. Some of these defenders will have more, and that's all they are. Like this one does, this Dread Knight does 15 damage and costs 40 gold to buy, and you need 40 gold to be able to attack with it. Some of them will have special abilities, like this Shaman right here, who the defender does +5 damage for every card in your hand. So, like, the more cards you hand, you can add to his damage. So, like, if you just play this and you had 70 gold, you might be able to like raise his attack value up, high enough that he's going to be able to single-handedly maybe take out one of these tougher creatures, if you will. But you can combine as many defenders as you have. As a matter of fact, the Warlord actually gains power for each defender that he attacks with. So that's one of those things that, like, cool little abilities that you can have, synergies and what have you. Okay, so campaign cards are just as I already explained that. And then down here are the invaders. Now, when you set up the game, you just reveal 3: the black deck and the red deck. The red guys are a little more difficult. They have they're more evil, if you will. And then the black one, the black deck is more simple, but they're not pushovers either. If you choose to attack, you have to meet or exceed the health of the thing that you're attacking. Normally, you can only attack 1, so that you got to pick and choose. Remember, first person to 6 of these wins. But, like I said, it isn't as easy as you think because of the fact that people could be messing with you, like with Betrayal cards, but also the fact that you need gold in your hand and not just attackers. It's one of those things where you have to have a good mix in your deck so you're able to actually use the cards to fight with. Now, the one big thing that happens is when you kill something, like if you killed the Skeletal Soldier, you immediately replace it with the next card. And if this card has any text on it, you have to do this. So when this invader is revealed, meaning on your turn after you kill it, the attacking player must discard 1 defender card from their next hand if available. So the next time you draw, you have to discard a defender card. So sometimes attacking and succeeding at something actually then hurts you. Sometimes, like say with this like Lich King here, he gives you 2 despair cards if you reveal him as the next card. So you're always taking kind of a gamble, when you kill something, even though you need to kill things to gain points so you can win the game, you're taking a gamble at the fact that the next card is going to hurt you in some way. So, as I said, like if you played deck builders, you're going to have your deck, you're going to draw 6 cards, you're going to reveal them on your turn, and then you're going to take one action. If you have an action card, you play that action card. If the action card allows you to play another action, you can keep doing that if you want. Then after that is done, you will either do a buy action, which is basically you show that you have enough gold to purchase something, and then you take it and you put it in your discard pile with the other cards, and then you get to shuffle it back in your deck when the time comes. Because if you've never played deck builder, once you run out of cards in your deck, you take all of your discard, you shuffle them up, and then you then will use that as your new deck. And then if you don't want to do a buy, you can do a campaign, which allows you to take 2 campaign cards. You can take 2 revealed cards, you can take 2 cards off the deck, or you can take 1 of each. So if you don't like any of them out there, you can. However, if you do take 1 of these, you have to replace it with 1 from the deck. You don't just leave the space open. Or you can do an attack. And as I said, you can use whatever defenders you have in your hand that you can pay for, that pay for the gold that is required. And then you can reveal that if the damage is greater than the creature, and obviously it probably is if you're choosing the attack. But as I said, like with the betrayal action, people can work against you to keep you from doing that. You then would claim the monster as you defeated, and then you replace the card, as I said. And then you go to the next person. The game will continue around the table until either the events get played out, or somebody kills their 6th creature. When that happens, everybody totals up the points from the creatures they killed, and from any campaign that the campaign cards that they've the quest that you've completed. Whoever has the most points will at that point win. If there happens to be a tie in points, then you will go to see who had killed the most red creatures. So there you go. That is how to play Draconis Invasion. It has, like, you know, I mean, obviously this is like kind of a throwback to a game I really like. That's Thunderstone. I really dig the fantasy theme, but it made me think, you know, a little bit about Ascension, a game that I really enjoyed as well, but then got way too bloated with way too many expansions and all kinds of cards. And of course, obviously you can't play a deck builder without thinking of Dominion at some point. But I really enjoyed this. I really love the art. I love the theme of it, and I really just liked the fact that you couldn't just go heavy-handed like strategy. Like, I'm just going to take a bunch of Beastmasters, I'm just going to take a bunch of this. You had to actually even out your deck and figure out a way to make sure that you always had money in your hand as well, and make sure that you had a way to get more cards in your hand, because that's the way you usually would have to do it. When you draw a deck of cards, you're going to like maybe have a bunch of money, but you're not going to have enough defenders to actually kill the thing that you want to kill. Remember, you only get 6, and so if you just take a bunch of like low glory point invaders, you're not going to win the game, you know, because you could take 6 1-point glory point invaders pretty easily. But if the other person, you know, manages to kill like a single ice dragon, that's worth 7 points, and that's worth more than your 1 glory point creature. So there's this cool little back and forth going on there, like really good choices that happen. So, but let me talk more about that in my conclusion, which I will do right now. Alright, I will fully admit that you've heard me on more than one occasion say, deck builders, really? You know, deck builders for me, like, I think I went through a lot of the feeling that a lot of people did. Like, when they first came out, you're like, whoa, this game's pretty awesome. How did this ever, you know, I've never even heard of something like this. This is pretty cool. And then, like, you play, like, another one, and you'd be like, oh, this is kind of neat, and you play another one, it's like, okay, well, when am I going to get something different here? And then you play another one, and you're like, okay, I've seen this before. And, but, you know, the game I really liked Thunderstone, but, you know, before it became kind of a bloated mess with all, like, 27 expansions that it had, and all the little promo cards and whatever, and eventually I was kind of happy when I like traded all of those off and I got rid of them. But part of me really missed playing a really crunchy fantasy based deck building game, and so when Draconis Invasion came rolling my way and they showed it to me, and I looked at the cool art, and I looked at the really like just evocative gameplay, I really wanted to give it a shot, and so, like, because of the fact that, you know, I missed Thunderstone so much, I mean, I had a pretty good idea that I was really going to enjoy this, and lo and behold, I really did. The best part for me right now is the fact that I've really only scratched the surface of the different strategies and the different cards and the different ways to build up a successful deck. And like as I said in the gameplay portion, this isn't just something where you can just say, okay, I'm just going to take a bunch of these cards. This one card I'm going to, like, there's so many times when, like, you play against people and it's just like, oh, well, if I do this strategy, and then that strategy became really heavy-handed and everybody would do it and would win, and then you'd have to come up with something else that would alter that, and you'd have to come up with a way to fix that. But this one, it almost kind of like was integrated with that to begin with. Because of the fact that you need gold. If you don't have gold, you can't play your defenders. If you can't play defenders, you can't you can't kill what you need. Because you can't, like as I said, you can't just kill a bunch of little tiny creatures. You need to be gunning for these big guys. You know, this Lich King or this giant ice dragon guy. You know, you got to be gunning for those creatures if you want any shot to win, because of the fact that those are where the big points are. And like I said, also, these campaign cards, by and large, for a lot of times for us, have become the whether you win or lose. Because this game, it only takes about a half hour or so to play a game, which is really cool. This is a game that like you can set up and be done with in like 30-35 minutes, which, you know, this has made into another like good lunchtime hour game for me and my friends. But it's one of those things where the game scores come down to just a few points separating the people. I mean, like, it's not uncommon for, it's like, okay, well, how many points do you have? Okay, I have 29, you have 27, you have 26, you have 26. You know, it's like everybody was in it all the way up to the very end. And then, like, it was just that, like, oh, you got that one card that, like, catapulted you over and things like that. And because of the fact that, like, as soon as somebody gets 6, that's in the game, you can, you know, try to do like strategies where it's just like, I'm just gonna gun for the end, or I'm gonna try to end this game early. And I like games like that. I like games that allow the players to kind of determine the length of the game and how long the game, you know, to artificially change the timeline of the game as well. So and because the game is so quick and so and you know, pretty brutal too, I should add, that you can't just have a bunch of turns where everybody's like, okay, I want to buy this card, okay, I'm going to buy this card, okay, I'm going to buy this card. Because if you're playing against people like that, all you got to do is just start, you know, literally taking those little tiny point cards. Because if you spend too much time building up your deck, you're not getting points. And so there's just so much cool like seesaw and give and take in the game that it rekindled a lot of my passion for the deck building genre, and I'm really, really happy that I was able to, like, you know, get this game, you know, early and be able to give it a try and give it a play, because I think, you know, I really can't wait to see what else they're going to make. You know, I remember back in the day with Thunderstorm or with Dominion, or any of those deck builders, it was like, oh, what are the new cards going to be? I mean, especially the Thunderstone, I was always like, what are the new monsters? You know, what are the new like village abilities? What are the new adventurers going to be? And what are their powers going to be? And it got me excited. And so I'm really excited to see what else this game will reveal to me in the future. And so and I you know, like I said, the art is amazing, and the background of the game is amazing, and just it all kind of rolls into a really, really nice, concise package that has literally limitless potential at this point. So so there you go. If you like deck builders, if you like a fantasy themed card game, I would strongly suggest you check this out. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. If you're a fan of the old Thunderstone, I think you're going to love it like I am. So there you go. I am the Edmund Viking. If you have any questions for me, please ask away. I'll answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video as always. And until next time, this is me telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.